Hi there, this is Kevin Moffett with another Manna Nugget. Um, Today I'm going to be talking about set your mind on the things above. Get rightly focused. But I need to tell you about a couple of little things like my new website is mannaart.com, MANNAART.com. And that has all kinds of prophetic works like these ones over here, slideshow that's ever revolving. It's, a good number of them, but there's still a lot more on the site, and the site will tell you if the original is available or if you can get it on print. And there's a number of sizes available for that. And then there's also Kevin Moffett art available, and that's like the image that's behind me here. If I can move out of the way, and this gets so weird when you try to do those things, but those acrylic flow painting, which I'm having a great deal of fun with. And then you have Manatees, which is hand-printed silk screened t-shirts, and there's some totes as well. And these are high-end t-shirts that I have done from several of the images that I've had painted prophetically. I'm a spontaneous prophetic painter, and that means I don't come with any preconceived notions of what I'm going to paint necessarily. If I think I know where I'm going to go, it usually never ends up there, and I'm just fine with that. I don't pre-see necessarily the image. I'm just going with the flow of what's on his heart. And then through that site, you can get to mannasilks.com, and that is high-end silk scarves that I have. That's tends to be a commercial business, but I'm looking to infiltrate the commercial realm, if you will, and get scarves on people, and they go, "Wow, that's different," because the anointing comes off on the scarf. And then back on the mannaart.com site, there's also dance shawls, which come in a number of different colors. These are beautiful, large, lightweight scarves to dance with. And you can also get in touch with Kingdom Creativity Schools, which I would love to come do, and or we can schedule a Zoom conference if you'd like to do something like that. But I also like to do in studio time, teaching whatever art or creative venture that you have. I'm more about teaching how to listen and respond creatively. But certainly love to work in studio with the artwork. And then I have a full selection, as you're seeing, Manna Nuggets on YouTube, which you can, different teachings that I've done over the years. And patreon.com, if you will, if you feel like you could get behind what I do and support what I do, please go to patreon.com. You can become a patron, if you will, like they did in the Renaissance times, and get some behind somebody and help fund them. And there are several different ways of doing that, several options available on patreon.com. Look for Kevin Moffett if you so desire to do that. And one last thing is I'm on propheticsgallery.com. That's prophetics with an S. And there are a whole bunch of international prophetic artists listed on that site. Debbie has done a great job of making things available for people to decorate their homes with. These are, images, artwork, and these things are intended to claim an atmosphere in your home, thus also claiming an atmosphere within you. These are the things where he loves to dwell in your inner temple. So consider how you're decorating that by the things you see. So bless you. Set your mind on things above. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear. Even though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea, though its waters roar and be troubled, though the mountains shake and with its swelling, Uh, there is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place of the tabernacle of the Most High. God is in the midst of her, just as the break of dawn. The nations raged, the kingdoms were moved. He uttered his voice, the earth melted. The Lord of hosts is with us, the God of Jacob is our refuge. Come, behold the works of the Lord, who has made the desolations in the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and cuts the spear in two. He burns the chariot in the fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our refuge. That is Psalm 46. It's a pretty good focus. Meditation, as used in Scripture, means to reflect on deep thoughts by visualizing in our spirit, our imaginations, then speaking them, reacting to them in a creative way, responding, if you will, to whatever avenue, whatever river flow that you have creatively. And it doesn't have to be, quote unquote, in the arts. It's a good thing if it is, but each one of us, I don't care who you are and what you think you do or you're about, you have a creative response when you are impacted. Your spirit, whether in the kingdom or out of the kingdom, looks for a way to respond. Spirit's always there. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, that you may observe and do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your ways prosperous, and then you shall deal wisely and have good success. That's Joshua 1:8. Whatever he gives you to do, you really need to do it, respond to it. And he shall be like a tree firmly planted and tended by the streams of living waters, ready to bring forth its fruit in its season. Its leaf shall not fade or wither, and everything he does shall prosper and come to maturity. That's Psalm 1:1-3. So it all has its way of working in and through you, and it will bear fruit. It's not, when you're in that place of receiving and releasing, rarely is it for you personally. Yeah, it has its personal effects or infection, if you will, but he's doing this in and through you to bless others and give them insights and understandings to the kingdom that wouldn't normally happen any other way, except through the manner that he has blessed you in. He will cause your thoughts to be agreeable with his will. We must be careful not to take counsel from the world and not to get into criticizing one another, because that dries up the anointing. This is avoided if one stays focused, habitually meditating on what God is saying and doing. Commit your works to the Lord and your thoughts will be established. That's Proverbs 16:3. Your eyes are supposed to be on him, not looking for the criticism of everything else. Yet, yes, we need to be aware when things are wrong or incorrect, but that doesn't mean we have to, throw it in somebody's face. The Spirit works in them as well to convict them of something they're not doing correctly. The law is in them, just like the law is in us, and the Spirit will work on those things. You think we really have enough time to be spending on criticizing others? This means that as we give our works totally to him and we stop struggling with our own strength, the Lord promises that he will cause our thoughts to agree with his. God often expresses his thoughts as visions, and we should endeavor to place ourselves in these pictures and see how God sees it. You think? It has become very apparent to me that creative people, especially artists, have been seduced into thinking that the gifting that we operate in, can and should be called their own. Oops, I'm going to go here. My art seems to be an all too often phrase used by artists, creative people. Like, you own it. Yes, it is something and a function that he does in and through you. And I don't necessarily mind the phrase my art, because when you're saying it, my art that I do with him, as an understanding within you, within your spirit, but it's really not yours. When you're operating in a prophetic function, we all operate in a prophetic function because we have a relationship with him. We have a relationship with Jesus. The nature of that relationship is prophetic. Therefore, what you do as a function creatively, as a response to what he's speaking, which he's always speaking within you, it doesn't just belong to you. You are the brush that he's using at any given moment to bless someone else. You own it with him, if I can say it that way. This attempt at identification is a direct affront to the Creator himself. We would have none of this creative release if he hadn't released it in the first place. Really, it's not the phase, but the attitude. It's not the phrase, but the attitude behind it. Inasmuch, when we act in this manner, that my art type of thinking, we act in a very inappropriate fashions. We have a tendency to approach leadership in particular, and expect them to accept us without any particular witness from the Lord about who we are or not in him. We have this like misbehaving child kind of thing where we stand toe to toe with authority and expect them to accept us for who we are. I mean, without regard to what the Lord's speaking to them about. There is a witness about who we are in the nature of our being, which will become apparent. They need to come to know who we are. You know, we shouldn't be trying to browbeat leadership into, you got to let me have authority on the platform kind of thing. No. It'll become apparent who you are. And if you're given that place of, on the platform without, the correct lineage or linkage to authority, it also becomes very apparent you're in the wrong place. So we need to learn how not to be bad children, if you will. You must accept me for who I am. In this, my art point of view, we believe that we have to fight for recognition. We're guarded and fear. We are guarded and fear rejection. And I understand that's a human response. We're reluctant to submit to authority because we think it's going to change the dynamic of what our ministry is. We're afraid to look bad before others. We have a difficult time in dealing with other artists because of jealousy and rivalry. There's a real compulsion to seek comfort in counterfeit affections and addictions. Creative is just full of it. We're constantly looking for ways to impress others. I've seen this happen time and time again. We need to be focused on God's ability to put us in the places that he wants us to be. We don't need to be about the business of forcing ourselves upon others. Yes, it is the longer road. Deal with it. Your anointing will be apparent when it needs to be apparent. Does this sound like anything like the way we should be if we truly knew who we really are in the Father's eyes? We need to identify just where this root of behavior comes from. I believe that I've gained some insight to just how this situation came about. I believe that the enemy of our souls has perpetuated another great lie. At the same time, the Reformation, the Protestant Reformation, along with everything else that was being ushered out and brought into the arena of distrust, was the arts. There was a huge lie that was planted during the Protestant Reformation when it was first starting, that you can't trust the arts. And I understand there's a subliminal thing that we need to be aware of, but it became a common belief that you couldn't trust the artist, because the artist could hide his art demonic message. In his art, it could be demonic messages. That's a subliminal thing where there's this. Even with movies early on, they sought to control, and this was good. They sought to control people making movies, because there was in the frames, you could plant an image that would go visually. Somebody would see it and it'd be in their psyche, and they wouldn't know it until after the fact, which was a message kind of a thing. And they outlawed that kind of thing because it was planting false images, or images that people really shouldn't be seeing, kind of thing. And so we need to be about the business of, we need to get right with God about, what we're doing with painting, and the body needs to be also looking at discerning what is right. What are the images out there that we need to be seeing and being a part of, or not? What's that became the persuasive thinking of the day, that the arts had little chance of remaining in God's house. So when it became like this total distrust of the arts, and that we're putting false messages in, and there's a lot of things that were going on at the time, like favor, you're buying favors through like this particular piece of art or something like that. That's all wrong stuff. But at the same time, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You have to bring correction. There needs to, bring the people that need to be brought into the house and closer to Him, that he will come to know what is the truth in what he's doing and or not doing correctly. So the one who perpetrated this lie at a very convenient time during the Reformation was, his name is Lucifer, or at least at one time it was. The name Lucifer means releaser of light. And I'm getting into something that, we need to get a deeper understanding of. This now fallen angel held this particular place of worship where sound was released from his very being. Every step he took, every move he made released color and sound. So he was the releaser of sound, which also means color, and everything that he did, he was releasing color and sound, and it was a glorious thing. And this was the Father's plan, that he be doing this. This was his place, and because it was all wrapped around glorifying the Father. It was all part of worship, to be releasing these things. And so every step he took, every move he made released color and sound. He was really something to look at and watch. if you could have seen this in the spirit, it would have just blown you away. It was just this phenomenal place, and not hard to understand what happened next. But he became so enamored, so in love with himself and his abilities that he wanted his own throne. He knew who he was and was just like, look what I can do. He wanted his own kingdom. He was in love with what his abilities were. He was removed from his place in heaven. The phenomenal job that he had was vacated. I've come to realize that he's really jealous for that place in heaven. He was removed from that place. A lot of the things that he was doing were, given to us to do. We don't necessarily stand in that place, but we are releasers of sound and color in this day. Certainly not in the level of what he was doing, but our worship is the releasing of sound and color that points to the Father. And he's jealous for that place. He wants he wants that place back. And is really threatened by man and his relationship to God. He had that place, and we stand in that place of relationship now. And he wants it back. Go figure why we have such problems sometimes. Go figure why we're believing in the lie. Go figure. He'll do anything that he can to keep man from that place that he once stood in. This really should be a warning to us. To be exalted by the things that we create carries great danger. Be careful when you say it's my art and feel that you need to be exalted for it. Be really careful for that. That level of pride comes with a great price. So far, the arts have been crippled because he was successful in inserting that lie that artists are not to be trusted. I don't know about you, but when I realize that I've been lied in such a scale as this, I really have to pray that my anger is a righteous, holy anger. There are times that this is an arena, an area of warfare that has to be led by the captain of God's armies. Be careful when you come in that place of understanding what's really happened here. The arts are still struggling in gaining that place of what they had before. Up until that time, the people that were considered closest to God were the people in the arts, because it was recognized that you were funneling your inspiration from Jesus, from the kingdom, from heaven. And there was an appreciation for that. And rightly so, people were looking to, use those things as part of worship. But at the same time, there was this when this lie came in, it was done by this whole other group that was jealous for the place that people in the arts had. This jealousy didn't necessarily, it was used in them, but it was sourced from a whole nother place. And this is how the lie got started. I mean, things like the windows in the churches were kicked out, and statuary and all the ornaments of that were used in the church, and it all came into question. All kinds of things were going on. And not that I'm, we shouldn't be worshiping idols, and that's a whole nother conversation. Even as a little kid, I had a hard time in Catholic Church. The priest was preaching about false idols, and here's all this statuary all over the place. It brought huge conflict within me, and I was just a little kid. But these things need to be talked at, looked at, and brought into the kingdom. And he'll tell us what's right and what's wrong. Be careful who you're listening to. Be careful. Okay, so we've been relegated to this whole other place that needs to be taken care of. And that'll be my next discussion, my next manna nugget. And that's about the orphan spirit. We were orphaned at this time when the arts were kicked out. We lost our fathering, if you will, at that time. So I hope this blesses you and encourage you to go to the next and listen to more. And I'm not necessarily doing these in order, so so you can pick and choose which one. And if you will, click on subscribe just underneath the video there, and give me a thumbs up if this is really working out for you. And please be encouraged to go to any one of my websites or options that I gave you before. It was mannaart.com, MANNAART.com, or excuse me, mannasilks.com, or check out the things that are on there, and Kingdom Creativity Schools, and we can talk further. So I hope this blesses you big. Talk to you soon.